You are now tuned into Shotgun Sports USA. Powered by Winchester. Recorded in the U.S. and streaming all over the world. We talk to shotgun shooters from all disciplines, championship-winning coaches, gun clubs, world-class target setters, vendors, and industry-leading companies that fuel the sport. If you are into clay target sports, you are at the right place for insider information from some of the best in the world every single week. Remember to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and connect with us on social media. You can also catch our episodes on shotgunsportsusa.com. Castellani shooting vests are manufactured in Italy and internationally recognized by elite shooters as the most popular, lightweight shooting vests on the market. Castellani vests are especially known for their Italian styling and superior craftsmanship and quality, making them a vest of choice for all shooting disciplines. Ultimate Shooting Accessories is the exclusive supplier of Castellani vests in the United States. Visit ultimateshootingaccessories.com for more information and to place your order.
This week on the podcast, I have Gary Fitzjarrell on again. Okay, listen up. There's some grown-up language in this episode. If you don't want to hear that, please turn this off. He talks about the successful shoot he just had at FLC, his new podcast coming out, when we could expect his first episode, and several other things. Right now on Shotgun Sports USA. Gary, you're back again. What's up, man?
Yeah, it's just like a bad penny. Here I am. or herpes, popped up when you really didn't want me to.
But see, most people can get rid of you. You can't get rid of that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you can only catch it once.
There's one guy online that couldn't get rid of you, but we're not going to get into all that. How about the feedback on the podcast from a couple weeks ago? How was that?
The response has been really, really good. Everybody, most of the time, okay, to summarize, it's just like the Coon Pecker last weekend. A lot of people never met me before. Mm-hmm. And they were surprised that I didn't set them on fire with a flamethrower the first time I met them. They actually thought, well, Gary's actually kind of accommodating, and he's kind of nice.
Right.
But the only other thing that was kind of funny was, and this is probably going to be the only time Shotgun World Forums has ever been mentioned on a podcast or whatever, or actually is relevant. There was a few good ones on Shotgun World where they were something about I've seen his rants on Facebook, and this was a podcast I just passed by or something like that. And all that really meant was Gary Fitzgerald hurt my feelings. The character the character he described as being, one of those was me, and it hurt my feelings because I am that guy. Yeah. And that's like I said, obviously the gun club experts or whoever the hell, everybody gets offended, and that's cool, dude. If you want to listen to it, if you don't want to listen to it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm an acquired taste.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you think you're one of them kind of people that people either like, or I should say either love or hate, or are you in between?
I think if you've met me, you either love or hate me, and I don't give a shit either way. So, but I think a lot of guys that came in this weekend, like for this Coon Pecker Open, they didn't expect the hospitality we throw out for them. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like, I heard a lot of guys say, he is really nicer than I thought. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of, like Diana Mine always said, you're an asshole, but you're our asshole. which is fairly true. As long as you're not stupid, I mean, that's why you get called out on the social medias, and like if somebody comes to my club and you're a decent person and respective, then we're going to get along, and I'm going to do everything to make your visit here fun. If you're a dick and you complain, nah, man, you just leave. Please just go, because we don't need this. It's like a gun club's a bar, man. It's like any bar. If you let the wrong people congregate at your bar, the people you want there who are not into that whatever are going to leave. Because those guys, every time a bar opens up, there's always fights, and they kick them out because the guys that go to that bar were kicked out of every other club. And it's the same way with a gun club. I mean, every other bar, the same way with a gun club. If you get the wrong guys in there, you lose customers.
Right.
It's like anything. Yeah. You know that. It's just like people go to that gun club or that bar or that restaurant or what have you to enjoy themselves. They want to get away from whatever they do for real life and enjoy their time. And if you're in an environment where everybody's complaining or this guy does this or this guy's whatever, you're gonna lose them, and the good people are gonna leave. They won't tell you, hey, you got to get rid of that asshole. They'll just leave.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just an opinion.
Another thing that I thought took off pretty hot and heavy was your shooter's cape. And that's the funniest thing to me is that
was funnier than shit. There was more guys. It's amazing how many guys wore shooter's capes. I have an embroidered shooter's cape that Tom Lotus had made for me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I'm going to pop this thing out there. And then I show up and it's like Halloween after Suicide Squad came out, and everybody that year was dressed as Harlequin. All the slutty girls were dressed as Harlequin. And I'm like, holy Christ, this is awesome. Because like Matt Gay and the guys from Colorado, Charlie Colby, and all those guys showed up in shooter's capes. And it was freaking glorious, man.
Yeah.
It was freaking glorious. There's shooter's capes now hanging at the lodge they left. So
the real question is, are you going to wear that one to nationals when you go?
Dude, I'm going to wear that thing all the time. I'm wearing that thing all the time. I mean, I want that, and I want a Hank Snow. I want a Hank Snow nudie suit with a sporting clay theme. That's my next thing. If we can make that happen, I will wear that thing every day of my life. I want the rhinestone sequin sporting clay target or a pigeon on my back. That would be badass. But the cape, the cape is cool, man. I mean, the cape was freaking cool, and it really,
What's it say on the back of it?
Because Coon Pecker Open 2021, King Pecker, and it's got an embroidered coon dick bone on the back, and it is glorious. I mean, you can wear it shooting, or you can wear it to the opera. I mean, it is
Halloween's
just that
coming up.
Halloween's coming up, I mean, probably look at you a little weird going down there with the, if you got to explain the joke, normally it's not really good for consumption, but this weekend that was a joke that didn't have to be explained because there was a shit ton of guys with everybody had a good time, man.
Yeah.
And that's what that shoot's about. That shoot is really good targets. I think we just, we set really good targets, and then we had a really good time. And we had more than we did last year. We're going to have to cap it, and it may go to an invitational soon because it's just I want to keep it where it's manageable and people still have fun. And it was kind of like the recurring statement on Saturday night when Jackie Adcock and Outlaw Opry was playing, was there is more people hanging out for this party than there was at the U.S. Open. And that's true. We had probably, you had 100 and something shooters, and we had 100 plus people there, and everybody was amazed. I think we would have had more people hang out or stay longer, but the weather was a little spicy. It was kind of like that last bit of summer trying to hang on. 2 years ago or last year, it was, the shorts and hoodie weather with a fire pit. We never had a fire pit going this year because it was 60, 68 at night. So, but still people hung out. We had a bar. Food was good. Brass Door once again knocked it out of the park, and then Outlaw Opry with Jackie Adcock just played good, and they loved playing, and we tipped them well, and they played longer than they were supposed to. So it's a good night. So
yeah. So tell me about the shoot. How did the shoot go over? I mean, as far as the shooting part of it.
The shooting part of it went really good. We had 2 camps. We had the guys that came in from out of state that looked at our prices, and couldn't believe it was that cheap. We threw $90 per 100 on the Coon Pecker. VTAS was priced pretty cheap. The side events were like $50 for 50 targets. We even had a GTFO cup on Sunday, which is the Get the Fuck Out cup. That was $50. So a lot of the guys, all of the guys from out of state couldn't believe it. We threw it as cheap as we could. And for $90, you got 100 rounds. You got shrimp boil, fried pork belly, open bar and beer Friday. Saturday night was Brass Door, Alligator by Rollins Brown, a band, open bar, beer. And then Sunday morning we got up and cooked you a giant breakfast. Breakfast tacos, biscuits, gravy. Mama Deb made she makes a breakfast peach cobbler, kind of a breakfast peach cobbler, pretty badass. And that was all included. So if you shot one event, you'd come down and eat there for 3 days. I didn't give a shit. And then you had a few of the local guys that were upset because it was $90 and because it was $10 higher than our monthly shoot. Well, I'm feeding you 3 meals, guys, you banned, and you probably, if somebody said, oh, it's $10 higher, I can guarantee you I can drink enough to make up that $10 difference. But, the biggest thing is I think we spoil a lot of our guys, and a lot of guys miss the point. It's like, it's $10. Well, if $10 is a big deal extra, then you probably should have spent the $80. Did you really need that? Did you really need to spend that? But like I said, people like to complain. It's Walmart guarantee. I think most people would rather get their socks wet than complain. It's like they'd rather complain about their socks being wet than put on a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it seems like something's wrong with you that you complain. I mean, we're trying, we're trying to give all we can back and still keep a profit. That I'm not getting rich. I'm not getting rich at this shit.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at look at our expenses for a shoot like this. I had Howard Swalback was there. I had Rachel Halfley behind the counter. We rented a trap trailer, an extra set of extra 30 traps. So on and so forth. We're not taking sponsor money. The profit was about the same as any other shoot. It just, I want to have you guys come in and have a good time. And that's what we try to show everybody.
Yeah. And Eric Harvey is the guy that won. And
Eric Harvey won the All-American. That was another thing. Sometimes, and it's just a character flaw, I guess, I like to prove a point. And everybody complains, not everybody, but there's a certain level of shooters that worked our ass off, and you complain that there's no money in sporting clays.
Yeah.
And Derek, because this kind of goes back to Derek and I talks a lot about this shit. There's money in sporting clays if you do it right, as far as you change the entry to this. So we said, once again, there's a method in my madness. We always get in these Facebook fights, and I do it on purpose a lot of times to do this All-American all-around, which was attached to Coon Pecker, which was like we talked earlier, it was 20 flyers, 20 Halise, 100 handicap trap, 100 skeet, doubles, 50 feet test, and sporting clays. And we sat around and we did the bare minimum on what it would cost to do this shoot. And then we figured, shit, let's throw $500 back into the pot of this $1,100 entry. You get 25, 30 guys, you got 12.5 to, 15,000 in the pot, just the pot for the main race, for the all around.
Right.
And oh my God, people had a free. That's a lot of money, Gary. I'm like, really? I said, it is. And I said, it's 300 and figure the math on it. It's 300 and whatever, $350, $375 a day. Saturday, your ammo is included. So just figure taking a case of ammo off that $250 you shot on Saturday.
Right. That's
not any money. $350, $375 in the shooting world is nothing, considering I'm giving you breakfast. I'm giving you, I'm giving you even meals. You can't even go to the ballpark. You can't even go, anyway. So I tried to get a lot of people. I sent out a lot of text messages. Some people, prior commitments and stuff like that. And then I respect that. And Alicia, said you couldn't make it. And a few people apologized, and I'm like, all right, cool. You're good. Some people didn't respond to my text messages. And I'm like, here's a chance for you guys to win money that you're always complaining about that's not in the game. And you're not taking advantage of it. So when this goes an invitational next year, they're not getting invites. They're not getting invites. Here's a chance. And the reality of it, and I really don't want to say on the open airs what Harvey took home, but he beat 25 guys, and he if he would have won the Nationals, he wouldn't have won as much money as this. And the boy did great. The guy came out with a strong lead, put a bigger lead on by Saturday of the trap because he's a former trap shooter. Tried to give it away Sunday, stuck it through. Keegan kept hitting him, and he walked away with some cash. But shit, Justin, the option money, the side event option money on this all around paid some crazy. You win one. If you won one event, you paid for your weekend plus some. So, and we paid cash. So you ain't got to wait around for 2 weeks for your damn check. We had an envelope there Sunday. You're walking home with cash.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
There's ways of doing it.
So how many total entrants was in this whole shoot, Gary?
So on the Coon Pecker, we had 101 entries.
Mm-hmm.
For the all around, we had 26. So 26 entries. And of course, the money's probably out there on Score Chaser, so you might as well just talk about it. There was over $30,000 paid out just on the all around for 26 shooters. So if we're complaining about there's no money in the game, and then you don't enter a shoot like this where there's clearly money. Now, if you can shoot, then you ought to be entered in this thing.
Yeah,
if you quote unquote call yourself a pro shooter, you need to be entered in this thing, because guess what? This is going to invite only here real quick. And if you ain't on the inside, you're going to be on the outside looking in. Because, like I said, this is a damn good shoot, and this is what needs to be done, Justin, in order to put the money in there. Now, here's the thing, boys. You can't wait around for some rich guy to come in there to start a new trend or, whatever, and expect he's going to fund that shit. You're going to have to find the money, just like the 26 guys that set this up came up with an extra $500. Let's see how good you are. Harvey found it. I mean, he tried to talk himself out of it 2 or 3 times, and I ain't busting Eric's balls, but the kid was capable. We're all telling him he's capable of winning this. And he was. He did. He won the damn thing. Todd Hitch, and then Thomas Jacobs. Thomas Jacobs out of Kansas, a young kid, put several good days in. He took second. Todd took third. And I think I ruined Todd for Sporting Clays because he got to shoot box birds. And and I think he's in love. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not busting anybody balls, but I'm calling it out how it is. If you're a pro, this was some damn good money. Like I said, you won one event and you paid for your shoot plus your time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Now, how are you going to base your invitations?
The invitations for next year are going to be all my participants. Plus, there were several people that couldn't make it because of, Joey Bolton, as I understand, having a kid, and he was packing up to go hang out with Gary. And maybe I'm embellishing the story, but she wanted to know where he was going. She was, well, I'm going to Illinois to hang out with Gary for a week. And pretty much didn't go over too good for old Bolton. But, a few guys had some family issues, and some guys had some, car troubles. I know Cody was coming up from Texas, going to hang out, broke his heart. But, hell, I'm going to keep his deposit for either next year or for Boxburg shoot later. But yeah, if you took part of this first one, you're grandfathered in, and then we're just going to slowly send out invitations.
Yeah. Until
we get to a certain number we want, and I kind of like to have 40 because we're putting an auto. Aaron Romberg, it finally broke down, and he's putting an auto Halise ring in, so we can handle a few more shooters.
Yeah.
We can handle a few more shooters. So we'll probably go to 40 or 50, get a good 25 grand in.
Yeah.
May modify the whole program. Still kicking that up, still 48 hours. Hell, I think my dad, had a stroke Sunday, so we might have been a little bit taking care of him. I haven't put much thought in the next year, but we may just call it the FLC all around and just do all the shit we've got here on premises.
Yeah.
And maybe add a 5 stand and make it, because, when we came into that all around, we figured we'd have some trap shooters jump into it, in which we had really not any trap shooters. Aaron Pollock shoots trap, but he also is a master class sporting clay guy. Plus he's a he's a pigeon shooter. We had no trap shooters sign up for it. So I don't know whether I want to do trap again next year, or maybe not as much. Winchester was gracious enough to extend an invitation that we could use their facility. I don't know, Justin. We're still in the early phases of that. I'm going to probably poll the 26 guys or 30 guys that entered it and get a consensus on what they think we should do, and then base it on that.
Yeah.
But other than that,
so
basically,
if you double the entrance, you'll have 60 grand to win.
Should be. The Calcutta was strong. Calcutta was strong. If we get the right guys in here, get a few more Boxburg shooters in here, yeah, she goes pretty high.
That's crazy.
So you're taking home some money. I mean, it's like you want that gift of the dude doing the mind blow thing. Is like, holy Christ, everybody came up with $500 for your pot money times X number. Some guy asked me, how is there that money in it? I'm like, well, here's a calculator, take 500 times 26 and you'll probably get the answer. You're like, man, I mean, you don't need to be Asian to figure that math equation out. But there was just some craziness on that one, and it was we had a good Calcutta, and everything was. It just makes sense to do that, but maybe next year be a failure, but. We did it. We showed there could be money in it.
Yeah.
So a few guys are probably upset they didn't respond to my text messages right now, but whatever. That's how it is. I tell you what, you got to get in. You got to get into that quarter flipping game on Saturday night. That there was a shit ton of money on the table of these guys flipping quarters for $100 a pop. That was a hell of a time. So.
And how does that work? I might could win that. How do you do that?
Heads or tails, $100.
Yeah, it's kind of like slapjack, isn't it?
No shit, it's kind of like that casino. What was it? Vegas Vacation.
Yeah.
That where. Well, Clark, they have games here. They don't have at other casinos. Guess which hand? And
yeah.
I'm thinking of a number.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Romberg and Pete Malloy were out there throwing quarters, flipping quarters $100 a pop, and it was pretty damn funny. I hate to call them out, but hell, they didn't give a shit. They had an audience to watch that shit show, so
Yeah.
go ahead and call them out. There's another thing we pissed Ty out. We're talking about gambling. Hell, my kids are there.
He's still on Ty.
Oh, poor Ty. I mean, it's fine if you're offended. But like I said, when you start trying to influence someone else's opinion or silence somebody else because they offend you, you need to look at yourself, because that's not how this world works. If you want to tell 30 people not to listen to this podcast, that's cool, man. But don't make a big deal of it. Don't crucify yourself in the front of the social media kingdom just to show how pious you are. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I mean, it's just, hey, man, you want to be acknowledged. You wanted the attention, so here it is. Guy's going to hit me next time he sees me, but I've been punched before.
Now, are you planning on doing any other shoots up there, like this past shoot you did, or is that the daddy-o? That's the daddy one that we'll do. We are going to do a winter spectacular. All right.
Last year, because of the China virus,
yeah,
we kind of didn't do it. I've kind of been requested. Will Hinton, Rollins, and all of them asked, can we please do another winter spectacular? So we're going to do probably some kind of a winter shoot. Like I said, we got to have that Halise ring in, probably do some box birds, probably make a little party of it. And as far as this type of grandiose sporting clay extravaganza, man, I kind of like to build up just to this. I mean, if it was left to me, we wouldn't do a shoot. This is the only shoot we do here. Just do this big bastard and have a good time of it. Yeah. But it's developing. It's developing, and as long as I keep my interest in it, it's developing into something that may become that. I hope becomes something that you get your entry in the year you leave the previous year. We didn't get the file built this year. We're going to put the file up early, probably here in the next couple of weeks, and start getting entries for it, because there's a lot of guys. Dude, go look at the entry and go look at how many people came into this from out of state. Yeah. Paul Demko, I think, was number 2. Kyle Foley, those guys came to the inaugural one, and they're there. I mean, Yim came in, Kiana Hainsworth from Florida came in, Rollins Kemble, they came in. There's so many people that came from out of state to see this shit show. Now, once again, maybe it was like the first time you went to Tijuana, you want to see it once, and you're never going to come back. But I assume this may hopefully it becomes a thing. Because we threw good targets too, Justin. Yeah. We threw good birds. We threw some FETASC over some big valleys that kind of blew some people away, and the sporting clay course, we put some thought into it. It was good targets. Right. Side events, about as always, as long as the side events, the major gauge and the true pairs and all that shit covers the cost of that trailer from Promatic, and Cy and Ashley brought it over. I'm okay on breaking even on that. It's just something else to do. We don't have enough traps to keep you 100% occupied, but we've got enough to throw the main and the FETASC. But we need a few more traps to do the sub gauge, major gauge shit. Yeah. And there were still guys showed up with 10 gauges and bang that thing. We threw the pump gun event. We had a fair amount of guys shoot. You're never going to have a lot of guys, because we are on that part. We're attracting the guys that are burnt out on the big shoots, that actually want to communicate with another human being and have enough gas in the tank to sit around and have a couple beers and listen to some good music. And there's some guys that doesn't appeal to, and that's fine. There's regionals for that shit. Yeah. But if you want to actually tell some stories and laugh and have a good time and, eat some good food and shoot some really good targets. That's the best part about this. I don't have to throw the mediocre sporting targets and the fun task that we see at these regionals and U.S. Open and stuff like that. We could throw some, besides Northbrook, we could throw some targets with some balls. Yeah. And these guys are having fun with it because you get to a certain size, now you have complainers and whiners and bitchers in there, and you have the target junkies that want to shoot nonstop. And so you try to accommodate that, and now you just have a regular shoot, and you've lost the shine of the Coon Pecker.
Not there's any shine on that, Gary.
I don't know. Coon Dick shiny? Fuck, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. Let's get a veterinarian on this shit.
Well, the good thing about all this is you'll be able to advertise it yourself. Because of this new venture you've got coming up that you're determined to make work. And
I'm determined to make it work. I'm using it as an excuse to shoot more. I'm using it for an excuse to travel a little bit more. And to do this podcast to help you out. Hopefully it takes a little bit of a, it's a burden. It's hard. You got a full-time job.
Yeah.
I got a place I show up every day. Don't know if it's a job or not, but I show up there and eat breakfast. But yeah, I'd like to help you out on taking some of the burden off you, and somebody's got to be the hatchet man.
Yeah.
And I hope we get into this podcast business, and I can maybe ask some questions that somebody's got to be the villain. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to be.
You will definitely ask questions that I've never asked. That's a fact.
I just feel I have to.
Yeah.
I owe it.
Now, what type of questions are you going to ask, and what type of people are you going to have on? That's the question I've got.
Kind of what I've roughly got sketched out as far as the celebrity guests we've got coming on. I assume Derek Mine's probably going to be my first one. Desi said she'll do it. I've talked to Willie. He's okay. Willie Hinton's okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
David Niederer from Fossil Point Sporting Clays is going to come on. We're going to talk about the gun club, that part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
I got Luke Chambers and Bill England from Winning. We've got them signed up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Kyle Doherty from Promatic. We're going to talk about that side of it.
That'll be a good one.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about what actually goes on behind the scenes on their part. I mean, there's so many facets of this game that people walk in, shoot their targets, bitch, complain, and then leave. That maybe kind of what I'm trying to hope to do with guys with David and Niederer and the guy and Kyle is to show people what actually all goes involved. Well, what is actually goes involved, what's actually involved with putting on a shoot. When we get a shooters on there, I'm going to ask them some questions that instead of the glossy stuff, I'm like, what's your opinion on quarter aim targets? Do you call them middies or 90s? You're
going to ask those kind of questions or not?
No, I am not going to ask those types of questions. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to ask what do you see out of the game? What do you see the game going? Is this a failing of the game? What are the successes of the game? What has the NSCA done right? What has the NSCA done wrong? Try to get into the shit that we talk about behind the scenes when we're having a drink or sitting on the tailgate, and all the bitching that goes on that we need to get out there, but no one wants to talk about in public because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody. And then, if you don't want to answer the questions, I'm going to be like, hey, and I'll be like, hey, we got to talk about it. You talk about this all the time, and unless we get it out in public, things are never going to change.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of the shit. Because, we've all heard it. You're like, and we're going to ask some hypothetical. We're going to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
I know all these guys close. I know all these guys, and I'm not going to hurt anybody, but we're also going to talk,
right,
and get it out there, and try to show other people. I don't think people, unless they were just a complete asshole, would bitch as much as they do if they knew what all went on behind the scenes of a shoot and what was all involved.
Right.
And if you see somebody as a human, being a shooter or a gun club owner or something like that, maybe it'll bring some sort of understanding of what actually goes on, because everybody sees the surface, and whether it be a pro shooter, quote unquote pro shooter, you start seeing what they've sacrificed to be this point. Maybe you won't bitch about the guy getting some shells, and if you look at what the cost is for putting a sporting clay shoot on, maybe you won't, if you have any sense or any empathy, maybe you'll realize, oh my God, this guy has, $5 million worth of land, $200,000 worth of traps, a clubhouse, and all this shit, and he's making 2% on his investment. Okay, I'm sorry for throwing the water bottle down. It's just like, it's like Kyle and all of us, because I've tech traps. I mean, I've been on it seems like I've been on a lot of sides of this shit, because I love this game. Been there for, since I was a kid. But then maybe you wouldn't bitch at the traps breaking if you knew, hey, Kyle Doherty, Nick Sage, Tanner, all these guys, Ethan Smith are out there. Not obviously pro-medic guys, because we're running most of the shoots. But hey, it's raining and we're cold and we're busting our ass to fix a trap that was probably breaking because it was loaded too hard, and you're sitting there upset because you had to wait 5 minutes. There's so many elements of people who are working hard in the game to give you your entertainment, and maybe you relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe calm down a little bit. It's kind of like my shoot, $90. Guess what? I had a band, man. Aaron Romberg donated the alcohol this year. So that was $500 that I didn't have to come up with, but it still had, several $100s worth of bill. Brass doorbell is probably going to be $800,000. I threw, and then what kills you is like, oh, you mean you're telling me you're getting this much for your targets? Yeah, well, I've got $13-15 raw cost per 100, and then you've shot an extra 2 pairs on every station. Times 14 stations, that's 50. So you shot half a round. Yeah, I had to charge something for it.
Yeah.
Those Promatics don't freaking magic targets out of the son of a bitch, But it's that Walmart guarantee that fucks you, and we all got to get over that.
Yeah.
We all got to realize that there's so many layers of this stuff going on. I don't know why I said stuff. Shit, going on that, maybe we put a human element to it. Like I said, these guys, there's stuff that needs to get out there that people need to know.
Yeah.
And, show both sides of it, like, hey, these guys are making a living at it. And for the most part, like FLC, we're doing it because we love it. There's only so much money I want to lose on this club a year. I'd like to, keep it under, $20,000, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, hit some stuff, like I said, you can do all the glossy stuff. I'll go ahead and bust some balls. I'm good with it.
What do you think here? This is a good question for you. What do you think the dumbest question to ask somebody would be?
Oh my God.
On a podcast, not just you.
Oh my God.
Just the dumbest question. Like I don't even want to hear that.
Wow, that's a good one, isn't it? What do you ask me? Do you like shooting? Yeah, that's pretty stupid. But why do you do this? Maybe the answer to why you do this is probably the dumbest answer too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an off the cuff question. That's a good one, Justin. I really don't know what the dumbest question is because there's pretty dumb answers. It's kind of like ask Gary, why do you have a gun?
Maybe that was the dumbest question.
No, I don't know. It's like what's the dumbest question? Why do you have a gun club? Because I like hearing people. I like having people that throw water bottles down and put trash all over the place, bitch about the quality of service.
Yeah.
Dumbest question you could ever ask somebody on a podcast. Shit, I don't know that there's probably too many that could be considered. I don't even know. It's a close race. But
all right, so the name of the podcast that you're doing is called Two Shots Podcast. And
yep.
Where did the name come from? Because I don't even know that.
Derek, this is one of those ones I asked permission. So Derek and I were sitting around. We're always bullshitting. We talked about some of the stuff I want to do. We were talking about things we could do. Of course, he's busy as shit. I really don't want him doing a podcast. This was like before this ever brought up. Mm-hmm. I think the old podcast Behind the Break was kind of done. Mm-hmm. And him and I were talking about what to call it. And I watch a lot of Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns.
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious.
And it's hilarious. And I said, well, we ought to have it Between Two Shots. And I was like, no, shit. Let's do interviews at a bar doing a major shoot and call it Two Shots Podcast. And Derek was like, that's a great idea. And we just kind of, obviously we just kind of tabled it. It was always on the back burner. And, like I said, I don't want him screwing around on a Saturday night because, not busting Derek's balls, but he goes to bed at 7:30. So, the 6:30 crowd at the bar is really not who you want to party with.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the secretaries off work having an office party. They're blackout drunk, and it's some guy that smells like, fortune cookies and piss that has been drinking there all day long. So I really don't want to talk to him either. So I'm a poet, but
I see that.
But so we came up with the idea, and then you offered it to me after that first podcast we had. That I guess I don't know how many downloads or views it has on. You would know that. But you said, what do we want to call it? And I called Derek. I'm like, hey, Barkers would like me to do a podcast. I said, can I call it Two Shots? But you and I came up with that. And if you don't want that, I don't want to, whatever. He goes, no, hell yeah, use it. So that's for Two Shots because it's a double entendre, So, right now we got a lot of shooters Googling entendre, but
even if somebody doesn't like you, they got to like to listen to you laugh. You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of people probably listen. It's kind of like the dudes that, that leave a Facebook group, but then stick around, like make a grandiose exit speech.
Yeah, like
I'm
leaving.
Stick around to see who gets effect.
They make the final post of I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm leaving. And they don't leave for 2 days because they want to see who badmouths them. I think a lot of people turn in just to listen to my shit.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if I make any sense, Justin, but I try. I've got my opinions. I don't give a shit. You don't believe me or not. I got an opinion.
That's right.
But I try to help. That was one of the. I'll tell you a story a while back, and then I'll go ahead. I remember saying something about a shoot that maybe the targets were too hard, and a friend of mine still a friend of mine, he said, kind of got on my ass about it, like that I was critiquing. And then the next thing you know, I was helping with the shoot. And he walks up to me, he goes, you know what, man, you might have some opinions, but you'll also help. And that's kind of where I'm at on it. Like I said, I'll help to improve something.
Yeah.
But I've got an opinion, and I, like I said, it's just not, hey, I've got an opinion, let's change this, but I'm not going to help. But I'll help.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to hurt an innocent person's feelings, or somebody who's a nice person. But if you're an asshole and you're a dick, and I shouldn't let stuff bother me, but maybe I'm gonna make you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gotta be a downside to it, to being an asshole.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when are you gonna do your first episode with Derek?
I'm working with Derek on it. I'm probably gonna try to record it next week. Things should settle down. I know he's going to World Skeet, but I'm gonna probably hit him before World Skeet.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do it in person.
Didn't Derek? While we're on Derek topic, I don't mean to interrupt you, but didn't he just win something in trap?
He just won Bunker Trap Nationals last weekend.
Yeah.
Came from behind. He was sitting third. I believe it was Jake Wallace and Glenn Eller were in first. And then I talked to him Saturday night, and he dug and got it done.
Good.
So
good.
And of course that bastard's got me talked into shooting bunker with him this year. So we're going to go to. I'm going to Tucson with him. I really just want to go to Tucson with him to hunt desert quail, but I talked to Winchester, and they're going to send me some 7/8 ounce loads, and I'm actually going to do a podcast out there.
Good,
because there's I assume Seth and all the AMU guys will be there, so Seth will be there, Seth Inman, Willie would be there, Derek Halderman. Obviously I'd be drinking liquor with Glenn, but I'm going to hit a few of those guys up, chat them up a little bit. Try to give the guys a different perspective of a different element.
Yeah.
Because there's a disconnect between the disciplines. A lot of people don't understand what it takes to be on an Olympic team or to shoot at the international level. We're all used to shooting sporting clay shoots that we get into, or if I get on the All-American team or the U.S. shooting, or whatever, the FITAS team or sporting team, it's a completely different selection process to actually become an Olympian. And it's a hard gig to get, because there is a lot of world-class Olympic quality athletes that didn't have their shit together at the right time.
Yeah.
And there are some amazing gun handlers out there that had a slight off day, or there wasn't enough quota spots, to get enough people in there.
Yeah.
And it is probably got to be from being around those guys. My dad was a bunker shooter, never made an Olympic team back in like 66 to like 76. I still got his trials books. And if you get the right days at the right time, you get on the team. And there are some quality guys that never made the team. And show people that stuff, because it's such a disconnect from point A to point B of going from, you think the sporting clay team, the NSCA sporting clay team and the Olympic team is comparable. If you had the same regimented selection of those events, no, you would never. It's such a different story, and I kind of want to give that. I want to do some podcasts, talk to those guys, talk about their, it's a big deal. Hey, we're going to have the World FITASC in Hungary this year, or we're going to do World English in, England. Well, these guys are in Finland. These guys are in South America. These guys are in India. These guys are in Qatar shooting. This international skeet and bunker is such a giant, bigger, world event. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And the other thing, and part of that kind of pisses me off, and I know it pisses off a lot of those guys, is when certain people hashtag Olympian, and they're not on the Olympic team, or they didn't go to the Olympics. You're not an Olympian unless you went to the Olympic team. You went to Olympics. That's the answer. And there's a lot of shit that goes on that pisses these guys off, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the shit you bitch about on the tailgate, and we're going to bring in the forefront, because if you don't talk about it, then it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, it's all going to be on Two Shots pod.com. Okay.
Justin's like, it's going to be on 2 shots. I don't want that shit fucking up my broadcast.
Yeah, that's going to be a totally different one, not on this one.
This is Justin Barker has no association of this shit except you're just paying for the web hosting. So
yeah, this is all Gary.
I don't want that black cat shit fucking my life up.
Now, do you know where the explicit button is and all that stuff, Gary? Or are you going to even hit that?
I hope so. I think you're going to have to take care of that. You said you'd edit for me.
So every one of yours is just going to be explicit right off the rip. We're not going to have to worry about that, right?
Well, let's be honest with you, because when this all started, I asked you 2 questions.
Yeah.
You said, Gary, do you want your own podcast? And I said, it's real simple, Justin. I got 2 questions for you. Can I cuss? You said yes. The other thing I said, can we have a liquor sponsor? And you said, no problem. I was like, all right, I'm good.
No,
we are going to feature. We're going to feature what we're drinking.
Yeah.
I've got. I'm drinking Balvenie Caribbean Cast tonight. I actually have 1 liquor distributor. I've also already been in negotiations with. They were like, "Are you serious?" And which is a lot of, most of the time that question comes out of me in life through from 43 years on this earth. So I get a lot of, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
Most women I hit on, they're like, really, you serious? But yeah, I've talked to them, and they can't understand. I don't want money. I just want to send me booze.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, okay, cool. And this one, when we get it all figured out, yeah, we're going to feature a different liquor every podcast.
Yeah.
And, like I said, man, I like to drink. Yeah. I don't drink in excess, but I like to drink.
What do you mean you don't drink in the excess?
I don't drink. I don't get drunk. Oh. I mean, honestly, as long as I've been doing this, we economically we can't afford to get drunk. So because I like good scotch, and you're just like, well, 3 or 4 or 5 doubles in, and here I am, and like I said, I guess we'll just give up at this point.
So you don't ever go to cheap liquor once you start drinking. You just stay on the expensive stuff.
I like good scotch, and I like good rye whiskey, and I enjoy the flavor. And I've explained it to G-Dub many times. I'm like, I don't drink to get drunk. I drink because I enjoy whiskey. And we in the wintertime, we saw a lot of trees. We've got our own sawmill. I do a lot of woodwork in the winter. And this sounds just kind of a stretch here, but I love whiskey. I can taste the oak in it. It is a, almost I love the taste of it, and I love the intricacies of the taste of whiskey. And I've done it so long. You can give me a good scotch, and I can tell you what the characteristics of that scotch is. I do enjoy it, and like I said, I do like the expensive stuff. Now there's some expensive stuff that's just expensive stuff, and I have no pleasure of it. I mean, I don't drink Pappy because I'm not a bourbon guy, but I do like good 18-year. Jamie Dolliner gave me, he's given me 2 bottles of 18-year-old sherry cask Macallan, and that is just some of the greatest stuff ever. I mean, in fact, I had, after the Coon Pecker, the front seat of my truck had about 3 G's worth of whiskey in it. From people giving it to me. I think somebody made a comment as, he's just got the prices so high. He's just paying for the good scotch for his high roller friends. I'm like, most of my high roller friends give me scotch, man. And I guarantee you, we ain't subsidized padding the bill. They're bringing me liquor.
That's right.
But I like whiskey, and I thought this was kind of a good time that, hey man, we can showcase a few whiskeys that, a local distributor has kind of got me whiskeys over the years. It got me some odds and ends, some rare Macallans and stuff. Like, hey man, I'll return a favor, and promote that company a little bit.
There you go. Well, that's what it's all about.
Right.
Working together.
Yeah, that's right, man. I'd rather trade out goods and services than take money, because, Uncle Sam can't trade you. You can't tax you on goods and services. Go back to the barter system, man.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, Been a good chat with you. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Justin. Well, I can't wait for this dumpster fire to take off.
All right. Well, if you need something, holler at me.
All right. Appreciate it, Justin.
See you,
y'all.
All right.